I had an interesting day yesterday. Got a phone call from an acquaintance, Hannah, and Hannah asked me if I would be willing to have a video conference with her boss, Cory. And I agreed to it. And Cory is a 25-year-old. He owns about three homes, rental properties. He owns a U-Haul distribution center. He owns part interest in some storage units with his father, and he owns a water extraction business, works for insurance companies when your washing machine overflows and floods your house. So he has some businesses. He said he has been watching my videos and he has some investments in the stock market. And he wanted my advice, since I was both involved in real estate as well as the stock market, as to where he should put his money. After about 40 minutes, I think my conclusion that I gave him was that he should do what he knows, and that's real estate, and that's water extraction, and that's U-Haul, because I know that it takes 10,000 hours to learn a skill. And 10,000, in other words, if I wanted to learn to play the violin, I'd have to pick up the violin and I'd have to spend 10,000 hours practicing it to acquire that skill. Well, if you break that down in years, that's 9 years. That's 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, and that works out to be 9 years. So for Cory to say, I want to get into the stock market and I want to master that skill, well, he's 25 now. He won't be qualified until he's 34 years old. And I don't think Cory wants to do that. He's already probably got 5 years invested in learning the skill that he's got. I would advise him to stay in that skill. Now, does that mean that he should not get in the stock market at all? No. What it means is don't go up against the professionals. They've got the skills that you don't have, and they've acquired them over at least 9 years of time. They've also got an investment in probably $1 million computer and an algorithm that is telling them when to trade and when to buy and when to sell. Understand, there's a winner and loser in every trade, because the stock then immediately goes up or down. And if you're going against them, there's a good chance you're going to end up being the loser. You might win a few fights, but you will not win the battle. So what do I do? Well, what do I advise Cory to do? Well, the same thing that I've been advising you all to do for the last year. And that is to go in and study and learn from me, hopefully, that there are some companies that are going to take advantage and profit as a result of the change that our world is going to go through as we come out of World War III. If you watched my video yesterday, I said this is comparable to the end of World War II once we get through this. And that is that the nations of the world are going to have to sit down and iron out, where do we go from here? How do we balance our books now that we have $34 trillion worth of debt on our books, and France has so many trillions, and England does? How do we balance our books, and how do we move forward? How do we trade with each other? And that's what the conference in 1944 was all about. How do we relate? How do we punish the people who brought this upon us? And if there is any punishment, I don't know. I don't want to go down that road because I don't know that. But how do we move forward? So you as an investor need to be processing all this and say, who are the companies who are going to come out on the other side? Again, I will go back to my preaching on the big nine. The numbers 7, 8, and 9, I don't suggest you buy because they are in China. But the big six, yeah, I think they're going to come out on the other side, and they're going to be even bigger, and they're going to be even more important to us. So, okay, let's decide that let's decide that you know the companies you want to own, and you're not investing for the next 30 days or the next week or the next day. You're investing from 5 years in the future. And you've analyzed what we've been through, and you've read the books, and you've become astute enough, you've watched enough videos that you say, I want, and let's pick a company. Let's pick a company and say, I want to buy Google. Okay? Then let's go to Google and let's find out what its 52-week high was. Okay? And say, okay, then where is it now? And it's probably somewhere, and I don't know, but I'm going to suggest that it was somewhere between 22 and 25% down right now. Would that be a good enough return for you if at 22% down it got back to its high 52 weeks from now? If that 22% would be a good return for you and you would be happy with it, then buy it. If, on the other hand, you say, and do not say, well, I think it's going lower, because you don't know that. And you have no way of knowing it, any more than you have any way of knowing why the market is up 2,000 points right after we got the reports last week that 10 million people are out of work. Right after we got you watched my video and I told you there was $1.2 trillion of bad corporate debt out there, and those companies were going to file bankruptcy. Right after all that became knowledgeable, the market's up 2,000 points in 2 days. If you don't know why that is, then you don't belong in that part of the market. You need to decide how much return do I want on Google, if that's the stock you want to own 5 years from now. How much do I want 35? Do I want 30? Do I want 45? If you want 45, you may never buy it. Okay? So make those decisions. And then put your strategy together and then buy it and go do what you're good at. Now, I got a comment yesterday that says, I really don't want to be in the stock market. I just want to take advantage of it. I want to take advantage of the opportunity. In other words, what you're telling me is you want to go up against the guy who last year bought a $50 million penthouse in New York and has a $1 million computer in his office, who has an algorithm that tells him how to make money in the stock market in a millisecond. That's who you want to go up against. Well, why don't you just go to when the New York Yankees start playing again and volunteer to get up and bat? You aren't going to hit the ball unless they lob one to you. So don't get in a game that you can't win. Unless, again, as I said, it takes 10,000 hours to master a skill. That's 9 years. Unless you want to spend the next 9 years learning this business and then get into it. But don't get into it to take advantage of the professionals. It isn't going to happen. If it does, it'll be a short dream. I also got one that says, I play the penny stocks. Well, okay, go to Las Vegas and play the slot machines. They're penny stocks because of a reason. That's what they're worth. You're trying to catch the raising knife, the knife that is jetted out of the floor, and you're going to try to catch it. Good luck. So use some common sense. Understand the game you're playing in and enter it at the level that you wish to play. These people have knowledge that you don't have, and they have earned that knowledge, and that knowledge is being monetized on a daily basis, as it should be. Now, do they have an advantage over you? Yes, they do. Is that fair? Yes, it is. Tom Brady has an advantage over me on the football field. But he spent, 20 years? Maybe 30 years? How old is he? 39? He probably started at 9. He spent 30 years acquiring that ability. So he should be rewarded accordingly. I don't know that he should be making $20 million or what he makes a year, but he should be rewarded for the time that he has put into his endeavor. And you should be rewarded for the time you put into your endeavor. But do not suspect that you should be rewarded by hundreds of thousands of dollars by coming in and taking advantage of a depressed market. Be smart about this. Decide who you want to own 5 years from now, and they're on discount. So go buy them and be happy with it.